Hello everyone, how are you doing today? I hope and believe that all of you are doing great. A very warm welcome to this live stream, and we will start this live stream with these statements. Guys, words have meanings, sentences have meanings, phrases also have meanings, but if the meanings are not meaningful enough, then why to use those words, sentences, and phrases? And today's live stream is gonna talk about all those things. Namaste everyone, a very warm welcome to my live stream. Please follow me on my channels, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere you like. Very warm welcome to this particular live stream. And in this particular live stream, we are gonna talk about what we call it as knowledge transfer. So if you are in IT industry or if you are a software developer, you must have heard about this term called knowledge transfer agent, right? I bet that you have heard about this term because in our organizations, these terms like knowledge transfer is used widely, or in the current scenario of IT organizations, I believe this is the term which is being used most widely as compared to any other term. Okay, so we call it as knowledge transfer. Now, in today's video, I am going to talk about what is this knowledge transfer, and I have serious doubt about it. Can knowledge actually be transferred? What do you think? Guess what? Can knowledge actually be transferred? We will talk about that in a moment. And in the meantime, I will recommend you to, if you have any question, please feel free to let it come on the chat section. I will answer that either during the live stream or after my presentation material is over. Okay, so let's talk about knowledge transfer. When we talk about the term called knowledge transfer, what does it mean? What does it exactly mean? Isn't this means what you are seeing in this picture right now, right? Taking knowledge, transferring it. So you are actually taking knowledge from a one person and transferring it to another person, right? This is the meaning of knowledge transfer, right? Or for that matter, this is the meaning of any transfer. If I am taking this microphone and giving it to you, that's a transfer, right? So transfer happens when you take it from someone and give it to someone. So when we talk about knowledge transfer, this is what happens, right? We are taking from someone, giving it to someone. Now assume that this is possible. So we in IT or many other industry, we use this term called knowledge transfer, right? Let's assume for a moment that it's possible. So if it was really possible, or if it is really possible, it was very possible to, take the knowledge from some of the great minds of last century, like Albert Einstein or Stephen Hawking, and we could transfer the knowledge what they had to many people, not even one or two, to the whole generation, right? If knowledge transfer would have been so easy and knowledge transfer could actually be done, right? But we didn't had different Albert Einstein, we didn't had different Stephen Hawkins, even though they were available for people and they were teaching in the universities. Still, nobody is having as much knowledge as Albert Einstein or Stephen Hawkins. This effectively means that knowledge cannot be transferred, right? Hi Ram. It not only in single company, it happens in many companies. Okay, so yep, it happens across all the companies, small, big, or any companies. You take the name of even Google or Facebook, they might be having some knowledge transfer. I have heard this term. So I want to make a statement over here that knowledge is acquired, it cannot be transferred. Okay, so you know what, when we talk about knowledge transfer, it actually gives you a very different meaning. It gives you a almost a disastrous meaning that whatever knowledge someone is having, it will be transferred to someone else. But we have to change this mindset, and we have to understand the fact that knowledge cannot be transferred. It can only and only be acquired. Okay, so you cannot transfer something, but you can acquire something, and knowledge comes in that category. So what I intend to say over here is that let's stop using this term called knowledge transfer. Let's start using the term called knowledge acquisition, because knowledge is acquired, not transferred. Okay, and if you go back to your offices tomorrow, your companies tomorrow, just try to tell it to the people that, you know what, we are using something wrong since a very long time. It's time to correct that, because knowledge is not something, is not a transferable material, right? It's not an immovable property or a bank balance which can be transferred. Knowledge is something that can only and only be acquired, just like we acquire skills, right? So if I can, drive a car, motorbike, or bike, in a very efficient and good way, right? Can I transfer that knowledge on how to ride the motorbike, bike, and whatever vehicle you have to you? No. I know what you might be thinking, that okay, you know what, I tell you how to ride the motorbike or bike, but what I'm trying to tell you over here is that these things, like some instructor, some teacher, or books, internet, YouTube, these things are there to help you and help you to navigate in the right direction. But at the end of the day, if you want to acquire a knowledge, you have to acquire it yourself. Nobody can transfer knowledge to you. Similarly, these skills, any skills you talk about, athletes have a skills, sports persons have a skill, mechanic have a skill, astronauts have a skill. All those skills, people will be there, resources will be there. Somebody will have more resources, somebody will have less resources. But the actual meaning of those resources is that they can help you to navigate in the right direction. Means that if you do something wrong or you move away from the right direction, somebody can come to you and tell you, okay buddy, you might be going in a wrong direction, just change your path. So these are the things that will be able to help you, and in that sense you can acquire the knowledge. So there are two parts of this live stream today. Okay, and uh, this is the first thing, is all about uh, telling you that knowledge cannot be transferred, it can only be acquired. And the second part of this live stream, which I'm going to start now, is all about how you can bring this practice of knowledge acquisition inside your organization. Oh, Ram Kumar, thank you very much, Ram. Thank you very much, Ram. Thank you very much for your message and super chat. um, where Ram and myself, we worked in same company earlier. So thank you, Ram. Okay, guys. So I know by this time you must have understood that knowledge cannot be transferred; it can only be acquired. So let's talk about how we can make this happen within our organization. What are the some steps we must take, we should take within our organization to make sure that knowledge flows like water, and you do not need to set up a special transfer knowledge transfer cell, if we say that, to be able to transfer the knowledge. So we will gonna talk about knowledge transfer to knowledge acquisition, right? What you have to change in your company is that from knowledge transfer to knowledge acquisition. And here is how you can do that. There are few things which you need to take care of. These are very, very simple things, and you can do that. And if you will do that, you will migrate from what we call it as knowledge transfer to knowledge acquisition. Okay, so one thing, or I can say as a disclaimer about this thing, that Do not start this knowledge acquisition process once your timer has started. So the meaning of this is that most of the time in your companies, in your organizations, when you start the process of knowledge transfer, when you realize that the some person is going in a different department or retiring or maybe going out of the company. So just a disclaimer that whatever things I'm going to tell you right now will not work, sorry, will not work if you start things when the timer is already running. You have to make sure that you do things in a continuous way, because knowledge acquisition is a continuous activity. It's not piecemeal thing. You do sometime, you don't do sometime. It's always and always a continuous activity, and you always have to do something or the other to make sure that people are acquiring knowledge. Okay, so always remember, knowledge acquisition is a continuous activity. It's not a piecemeal thing. It is not something you can actually, do it when required. Okay, it's a continuous activity. And here is, few things which you must consider. Okay, so there are practices, there are many practices. One of those practices is extreme programming, which says that, things like pair programming. Okay, pair programming, believe me, people, it's a very, very powerful tool to make sure that the knowledge is not restricted to one person, but it also makes sure that the quality of the code you are writing, it's gonna be awesome. It is gonna be huge. Okay, so pair programming means that one person's write the code and another person looks at that. They are not writing code in two different laptop or computer. They are writing code in single computer. They are just shuffling between one person and another person. And when another person write, they other person looks at it. You can discuss around with people, and you can if you have some doubt or something, you can even ask that, right? So these things happens with pair programming. And many a times people complain that pair programming is a waste of money or waste of resource. Let me tell you one thing: don't tell something is waste of money or waste of resource without knowing about it or without trying it. Okay, so there are some benefits which are tangible, there are some benefits which are intangible, which means that the intangible benefits you will see when you get into that situation. I mean, imagine that, if you talk about police force or if you talk about army, they keep on practicing all the time, every year, despite the fact that a country might not be in a war since last 30, 40, 50 years, right? But it's still they are practicing. Is it a waste of time or waste of money? No, right? This is not waste of time or waste of money. This will pay you when you will be attacked, right? Or when the need come to handle all those things. Similarly, when you talk about things like pair programming, it's not a redundancy. It says that a couple of minds are better in creating something because people have someone to discuss. People can discuss with someone without taking an appointment, without taking a meeting, but they can also, you know, evaluate different options, right? One person cannot come up with multiple options. Even if they come up with, they have their own biases. But with pair programming, you can make sure that knowledge is not remain in one place. Hope you understood this. Now, another major problem with all the major organizations is that we have knowledge centers. So when we talk about knowledge center, what is the meaning of knowledge centers? Think about it. What we call it as knowledge centers. Knowledge centers are the individuals who have acquired lots of knowledge about your organization, product, services, tools, or piece of code, or library, or anything else. Um, when it happens, what happens that you are always dependent on that person or that set of person to be able to make sure that Uh, if anything comes, you have to verify with that person. You need to go to that person to solve any problem. So make sure that you are not creating knowledge centers within your organization, and this is something you can make sure only if you do few things like pair programming. And there is one more thing about which I'm going to talk about in a moment. Okay, avoid knowledge center. One or group of people, it's likely that some people might be having more knowledge on something. That's acceptable, that's okay. But some people, only some people having all the knowledge, rest of the people having no knowledge. So the scale between 0 to 100 is not good. If the scale is like 30-70, some people know 70%, some people know 30%, well, fine, still there is a way or there is a chance to handle these things. But you know um, it will not happen that 0 and 100 and everything else is not gonna work. This is one thing which is not applicable to organization but applicable to individual programmers. Yes, it is applicable to individual programmers. This is a bit disturbing trend, and I do not want. I did not wanted to say about it, but I realized that if I do not talk about it, I'm not gonna do justice to whatever I'm saying right now. So as a programmer, you must make sure that you are not hoarding knowledge. There is a, I mean, reasons for it. There may be a valid reason for it. Also, you might think that many people know about it. Then maybe you are not that exclusive, right, within the organization. That's not correct. Okay. I mean, let me give you an example. Let's think about let's take the example of me. Okay, whatever I have learned in my life, I used to share when I was inside the organization. I'm trying to share when I'm outside the organization also, right? I always believe that knowledge is something that increases when you share it with people, and you will not believe that how much sharing knowledge will help you as yourself. Because when I create YouTube videos and come to all of you and say many things, right, I actually verify that whatever I am saying is correct or right, or my assumptions, my assertions are right. Social media, like this YouTube channel or any other channels, is not a, you know, I will say a kind world. If you are wrong, you'll be ripped apart, like anything. So if I'm sharing something in YouTube, for example, some programming, and people are getting benefited from it, and nobody is saying that whatever I said is wrong, I re-emphasize that okay, whatever I was thinking in my mind, whatever knowledge I had was actually correct. It was not incorrect knowledge. Okay, so hoarding of knowledge, you might be hoarding something which you think is the best thing to do, but it might not be. So always remember, as a programmer, as a developer, never ever hoard our knowledge. Okay. And last but not the least, creating documentation of the things that are happening. Now, this is something that is there in almost every organization. All organization has documents, right? But just see what I have written over here. Create effective visual reference document. When I say that create effective visual reference document, I am saying this because human mind or human eyes can read images 60,000 times faster than you can read or understand the text. It's not what I'm saying, it's the scientific fact. You can Google it. Okay. There is research which says that you are either 40,000 or 60,000. I do not know whether what is the actual number, but it is that many times faster for you to understand whatever somebody has written. Okay. So whenever you are creating document, whenever organization create document, they ask someone to create document, and the document creator just worries about writing lots of text, and lots of text. The amount of text is so big that nobody reads those documents. Okay, nobody try to understand those documents. How many times it had happened in your organization that we you want to work on something and there is 100-page document for that where everything is written, but still you go to someone and ask that person help in getting things done because either you are not able to read the document or you are not able to understand the document. Just think about the specification, why I need to create C++ tutorials. Reason being, C++ specification is such a, I mean, it's a web of text that it's very difficult for everyone to understand it. And I'm not saying that people will not be able to understand it. It will take enormous amount of time for someone to understand that text. So when we are creating a document, whether it is a document related to how your tool work, how your program work, or how your design is, or how any other thing work. There is nothing that cannot be explained in pictures. Okay, there is nothing that cannot be explained in pictures. Okay, so uh, when you create your document next time for anything, try to create with as much pictures as possible. Okay, believe me, if you see a movie without subtitles, without sound, still you can understand that movie. But if you just get rid of the picture and just have subtitle or sound, you may still understand it, but you need to visualize things, right? What scene might be happening in the background for this subtitle, for this particular screen. Okay, so that's the precise reason. Next time when you create the document, please create the document with lots and lots of pictures, and people will understand your documents only if you have lots of pictures in it. Okay. Okay, so this is what I had. Okay, so yeah, one more thing I had is that reward knowledge sharing. Guys, you know what happened that most of the time when we talk about knowledge, right? We reward knowledge, acquisition. If somebody learned something is and somebody did something, we always try to reward that, but we sometimes do not try to reward knowledge sharing. Okay, this is something we must try because we need to create a culture where knowledge is being shared and people can share the knowledge, you know, for their own benefit, for to make sure that whatever they are doing is actually right and actually correct. Okay, so yep, that's all I had for this live stream. I hope and believe that guys. I have actually made it very clear that knowledge cannot be transferred, it can only be acquired. And next time when you go back to your organization, you will talk to people and say that knowledge cannot be transferred, knowledge can only be acquired, and we need to do some things, we need to take some steps to acquire the knowledge. Okay, so if you have any question, I'll just be here for 10-20 seconds because by the time I speak and by the time things reaches to you, it's close to 10-20 second delay. So in the meantime, if you have any question, let me know. And I would again like to thank Ram Kumar. Ram, thank you very much for your kind words. And words like this actually acts as a inspiration for me for doing things or continuously doing things because I do believe in helping people, I do believe in sharing what I know, and if at the end of the day, even if it helps one person, who cares, I am happy. Okay, and I would like to go away with this quote. This quote says that some beautiful paths can't be discovered without getting lost. Okay, so when you acquire a knowledge, this is something that is going to happen. And when you lost your path, then you learn something new, something more. Okay, so looks like there is no more questions over here. So I'm gonna close this live stream. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining. We will meet again. Until the next time we meet, good day, goodbye. You take care. Thank you very much.